What up, everybody? This is Kingdom Key 23 here, and welcome to our review of KH3 Remind. Now, you noticed I said "our" there, and that's because I'm not alone. I've got a special co-host here to talk about it with me. Give it up for Zorial Diamond.
Hey there!
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm so glad you could come out to do this. I really wanted to have someone else on here and sort of talk back and forth about it. Maybe get a whole new perspective on the thing. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, totally, I get that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess before we dive right into it, I guess we wanted to start, maybe to sort of get a, understanding of where we're coming from. Maybe just a sort of a quick, let people know what we thought of the base Kingdom Hearts 3 game. I did a whole review on it, but what was your thoughts on the base game?
I thought it was pretty fantastic.
Right.
On the whole. It certainly wasn't perfect, but overall I really loved it. It was definitely worth the wait.
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, I did a whole review if you want to check it out, but it was fun. I think the third act is where it struggled at times, but I'm still glad I played it in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We're gonna start out with talking about KH Remind, the main event in this, or as I like to call it, Back to the Future Part 2, The Search for Kairi.
I mean, you're not wrong!
Yeah, I know, because it's pretty much Sora finding Kairi, and he has to pretty much relive the third act of the game again, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, what did you think of it overall?
I mean, yeah, it definitely... I guess I didn't mind the fact that it was sort of a repeat of the third act as much, since I hadn't played the game in almost a year.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice refresher, but I could definitely see, it's like, we didn't need, to play out all of the scenes again. Like, if you want to sum them up, that's fine, but I'm kind of just like, okay, I know what happened here already.
But it was very nice to have the interesting challenge and the uniqueness of being able to play as somebody else for different parts of the fights.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because each character just feels different, and it was a lot of fun. That was one of the parts I did like in the third act, was fighting all those bosses, and now especially just get to playing as different characters.
Yeah. And by that point, your Sora is probably really stupidly, ridiculously OP, so you flip to another character who's maybe not as such, and hey, it's a new challenge.
Yeah, that's what I like, too.
Obviously, it's not anything really exceptional, especially considering the stuff that comes later in the DLC.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, it was you're right, because, because when I played it, I was at level 99, and then I got to play as this other character, and then, they weren't as strong, or they didn't have, they would take a lot more damage, and it was it definitely added a whole new thing to it.
Or the hotkeys were not the same as the ones you'd set them up as on Sora. So
yeah.
You would have to reroute that muscle memory very quickly.
Oh yeah, I know, absolutely. Did you have, a certain character you liked playing as the most? Yeah, for me it was Roxas. I just liked sort of his dynamic with the dual keyblades and stuff like that.
Oh man, I can definitely see why you'd say that. Honestly, I think that the segment with expanding on the Sea Salt Trio was definitely one of my favorite parts of the Remind scenario, but honestly, I would have to go with the novelty option and say that Kairi was my favorite.
Oh right, yeah, Kairi was...
It was definitely something entirely different.
Yeah, I did really like her playstyle too. I guess maybe it's between Kairi and Roxas for me. I really like them both. And the story segments that they did add, it definitely helped with a lot of the complaints people. That's a great thing, because it sounds like they listened to the feedback when they went to doing the DLC, because it definitely addressed a lot of things. Like, even during the whole scenario with the Sea Salt Ice Cream Trio, it's like Kairi even got a moment to shine and caught, Xemnas off guard, which was awesome.
Oh, yes, it's just, you could just tell throughout the entire things that, hey, we heard you. We really listened. The final mix tradition is still alive and better than ever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't have to worry about importing the game anymore for a final mix edition. I know, because I actually I actually got them back in the day, the final mix edition. So, it was a hassle to set up because you have to buy the game again, then you have to mod the PS2 or do some other weird stuff with it, and it's just a pain in the butt.
And now we don't have to worry about that anymore. Now we just have to wait like an hour or so for it to download the update.
Yeah, I know, seriously. I'll take that over trying to get all this crazy stuff online.
Or you can just wait 10 years for it to get released to the West.
Yeah, I know. Definitely added a lot more epicness, because especially at the towards the end, you actually have all the characters coming together to fight all the multiple Xehanorts. And it really,
that was pretty awesome. I mean, I feel like that could have had the potential to get really, really busy, but I feel like they handed off things just enough that you got a little taste of everybody. Although I low-key wish that the bits of banter between the team were subtitled.
Oh, right, yeah. Because there's still, like, a lot of stuff going on, so you're kind of like, what are they saying? But,
and then there's just the other bits, like finally being able to look at Scala on Kylum peacefully for longer than 30 seconds.
Yeah, that is another, like, big thing, like, I really enjoy, too. Because especially in, like, sort of any video game that has sort of, like, worlds to explore and stuff like that. I always like exploring, and I think what I like too about it is the more you see it, it kind of it's trying to like tell a story too, because you see these visuals and you're kind of like, what is this world's story about? You want to know more about it, and you keep like walking around. It's like, I could find Kyrie's heart pieces, but you know what? I really just want to go explore and learn more about this town.
Like, you just see like, oh, that looks like a pastry shop. Oh, that's a fountain. Oh, this looks like a place where they play games or chess or something. What's going on there?
I know, it was really cool. It was just a nice breather, because at the beginning it's just like boss fight, but then it was a nice thing to sort of add in the middle to sort of break up the tedium. And I love too that when Demix came back, they had to he had to do his catchphrase again. He was like, Demix time, and even Riku's like, oh, you. It's like I keep expecting like audience laughter like at a sitcom, and it's like, Demix time, we'll be right back after these messages. Or something like that. I know, but yeah, it did fill in like the gaps that like we missed out, even especially in the ending too, when like Sora and Kairi are kind of, that was an interesting touch they had added there at the end, when after you revive Kairi and stuff, and then they're in the cutscenes, like sort of
they're in the credits sequence.
Yeah, especially with Kairi using her heart thing to bring Naminé back and all that stuff. And it was nice to see what's the little cat creature's name? Chirithy?
Yeah, Chirithy.
Yeah, Chirithy. Okay, I was close.
Oh yes, totally adorable.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you played, the mobile games too, like Union Crosses and all that.
Oh boy, I think I love Union Cross a little bit too much. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I haven't played much I played a little bit of it, but I did watch some videos on YouTube to kind of get myself caught up with the story. It's like interesting, but it's just as crazy as you would expect from this series.
Yep, I just find that Union Cross just happens to scratch my perfect little time-wasting mobile game itch.
Yeah, and there's also... No, go ahead.
Getting back on track.
Yeah, but, yeah, and also the interesting thing was I'm, like, listening to, because actually I didn't know about this till recently, that, the, second English voice actor of, Master Xehanort passed away, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, is that Christopher Lloyd? And I'm like, oh my god, it totally is him. That explains the time travel thing. You needed the 1.21 gigawatts to go back to the future. Yeah, and I just expected, like, when Sora meets up with him, he's like, remember me, Sora? When I killed your girlfriend, I talked just like this! But no, what did you think of Christopher Lloyd's performance as Master
I honestly thought it was a lot closer to Leonard Nimoy's performance than Howard Rutgers was. Not that any of their performances were bad.
Yeah, I sort of saw it as like a middle ground between the two, and I think it worked out really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I definitely had more of like an old man sounding voice.
Yeah.
Well, like no disrespect to the second actor, but it sounded a bit like younger almost, I want to say.
Like, that's middle-aged Xehanort.
Yeah, that really is. But yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty good. I had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, maybe there was some stuff that went on a bit too long, but other than that, it felt satisfying, and yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. What about you?
I enjoyed it too. It was great.
Yeah, it's
Although that sort of felt like an appetizer when it compared to what was immediately to come, and something that I'm admittedly still in the process of working on because I've been getting used to a project at work, so I only have so much energy to actually attempt it.
yeah, I know. It's definitely one of those things you really have to sit down and focus. And I guess we'll move on to that right now. So next up, we'll talk about Limit Cut. Yeah, so I guess before we get into the whole meat and potatoes with it, I wanted to mention that it was nice to see the Final Fantasy characters come back again, because even from the one cutscene, like this first cutscene alone, it kind of reestablishes their personalities really well, I think.
Mm-hmm. And of course, nice to see them brought back to glorious HD too.
I know, yeah, they look really good. But yeah, like I said, they did a really good job recapturing their personalities. Like, Leon being the stoic, cool type. You have Sid, the hothead, and Aerith with a much better voice actress now. I know, no disrespect to that previous voice actress, but she sounded a little too bored. This is great. Everybody's together again. Like, are you
being sarcastic?
I know, it's like, are you really happy to be with them again? But yeah, so what happens pretty much is they're trying to find Sora. A year has passed, and everybody's going to look for Sora. The Keyblade Knight trio, they're going back to the Realm of Darkness. Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, they go revisit a lot of the older worlds, and then Riku goes to Hollow Bastion, and then they go into Datascape to see if they can find anything. And this is where the really good stuff happens. This is where we get the Data boss fights, just like Kingdom Hearts 2, but wow, they are so much harder. Would you agree?
Well, I'm going to say the caveat that I am A, playing on standard, and B, haven't actually beaten them all yet because, yeah, the aforementioned real-life kind of stuff, and also, I never actually got around to doing the original ones in Kingdom Hearts 2, but I have a Platinum Trophy in Bloodborne, so I think that at least ought to count for something in my gamer cred. I'm just not used to playing Kingdom Hearts games to get my teeth kicked in. So this has definitely been a very new experience for me.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, so I think what definitely helps is, obviously because the game is running on a much bigger engine, the graphics are much better, they can definitely do a lot more, and I think that's what definitely helped, because you definitely... With Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, I love those boss fights, but you can sort of tell how telegraphed they get. I'm not saying, like, these aren't, but there's definitely a lot more creative freedom in, like, the attack patterns they do, and sort of, like, the many different, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, the many different things you have to sort of avoid and dodge, and then, yeah, I thought it was really intense.
Yeah, you can really do a lot more with a lot more processing power. It's just, like... It's kind of amazing how long the Kingdom Hearts was kind of functionally stuck with the specs of the PS2.
Yeah, because they never really had, like, a PS3 game. Like, they only had the compilations re-released, but other than that, it was this handheld stuff, and yeah, it still is kind of, like, jarring the first time I saw, like, the trailer for, like, Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm just like, wow, this looks incredible.
It's just like it's like going from a flip phone that you had for 10 years to picking up a brand new iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I know they're really hard, but like they're hard in the right ways. There's just a lot of they're just so much fun, especially their like attack patterns.
Oh yes, they're just visually and auditorily like delicious. So it's just like I'm getting killed so many times, but I get to listen to this awesome music and get to see all of these awesome visuals and otherwise, so I don't really care that I'm dying so much beyond the fact that, oh crap, I ran out of elixirs. I'm gonna have to go grind in the main game again.
Yeah. Actually, when I first played it, I thought, like, wait, you can't go back? And then I'm like, oh yeah, you can't go back. I'm like, that would be a huge oversight there if you run out of items and you're just pretty much screwed, unless you've played it so much that you could pretty much not get hit at all.
Yeah, then you later found out, oh, hey, you have to go back to load and then press a different button when loading up the save file.
Yeah, I did. I found that out too. I'm just like, oh, okay. But
yeah. These fights are tough no matter what difficulty you happen to be on.
Yeah, I did it on standard too, and it's just like, you really just have to like focus, and like you really have to have like really fast reaction times for these guys.
And I guess sort of like taking it into some things that you saw on social media that clearly shows that people have only like gotten into this franchise for the past 3 years or so. Kingdom Hearts is becoming Dark Souls. I'm like,
no, not
no,
again.
it's not. The two games play very differently, despite both being ARPGs.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing I heard. Just because I don't know what this sort of mindset is now, where the people are just like, "Oh, it's hard, so it's bad." I'm just like, no, that's not how it works, guys.
And let's not forget that this was something that the fans specifically were asking about. They delivered on that, and they delivered on that spectacularly. Why are you complaining?
I know. You have to keep this in mind too, that I know you didn't play them, but I did, and the data battles in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix were really hard too, and including fighting the Lingering Will, Terra's armor. So those were really tough too. So I don't get it. I guess is it just because of the new generation? I don't know.
Yeah, that and probably a bit of trend chasing as well. It's just like, that's not to say that either of them are bad, they're just executing on the same things in a different way. Let's just say that death in this game is a slap on the wrist compared to dying in any Soulsborne game. Since you can just pick up right back where you left off without losing anything.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, why include the mode like that? Well, it's like, A, like you said, the fans wanted it, and like, B, it's like, that's the fun, because like, you know, the game, like, you know, critical mode was added later, but it's like the game was relatively easy, so it's a nice way to really challenge fans. And then people are like, oh, it's too hard. I'm like, well, I don't know what you guys want.
Yeah, what I personally found is that I didn't really have to think a whole lot about the mechanics of the game when I was just doing like the blazing through the story mode in the week, because I wanted the lore injected directly into my veins and then cry. Yeah, basically.
I hope it wasn't too painful.
Hunting down extras. Whereas here, when you actually are presented with something that's a bit more of a challenge, you have to think more about how you use everything. Like, oh, when am I going to activate my form change so I can use those sweet, sweet iframes so I can maybe actually survive Xemnas' DM this time? Or, hey, maybe I can spend some time actually getting those mimetic ingredients and making up some nice recipes that'll give me a Thundaza out of nowhere that'll be able to get me an opening I wouldn't have otherwise had.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Again, hey, you know, I love my fellow KH fans, but I don't get it sometimes with you guys. Like, you like, oh, game's too easy. Oh, it's too hard. It's just like, but like I said, it's like, a game can be hard. I mean, just like I said, just because a game is hard doesn't mean it's bad. It's just like, if it's,
or just because it's hard doesn't mean that it's hard in the same way.
Yeah, because I hear some people say too, it's like, oh, but you don't really get like an award out of it besides like, you know, the secret boss and all that stuff. And like, the reward is like being like able to accomplish fighting those bosses. Because after you feel so satisfied, it's knowing that like, wow, I took on this really.
And it's as much as the journey of getting there as it is the destination, because, yeah, these fights are visually and aesthetically absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous. That's not an exaggeration.
Yeah, they really are, especially, like, the crazy moves they do. It's just, you feel like you're in, like, a crazy anime fight is what they really feel.
Exactly! That's the feeling that Kingdom Hearts is so damn good at delivering on, and these fights definitely capture that. And it's just like, they put a lot of time and care into making the soundtrack this time around too, because when you look back at the data battles in Kingdom Hearts 2, those mostly all use the same 2 or 3 songs, if I recall correctly, whereas this time, every single data boss has its own unique theme. Everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. They are really good. The music in these games is always great, but they do, I think part of the reason I like it too is for the nostalgia, especially with, like, sort of the moves certain characters have, which feel like a good throwback to KH2, and the music especially.
Yes, it even so far as to have different mixes of the same song for different characters. Like, Syx and Zigbar both have their own mix of the 13th Dilemma, and Larxene and Luxord, I'm still not used to pronouncing it that way, both have their own versions of the 13th Struggle, which is like, they didn't have to go that hard. They did that for us.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
And I don't think that I've even heard the song that's really going to get the waterworks going yet, because I still need to beat Luxord.
Oh, right, yeah. So, I mean, out of the bosses you've faced so far, which ones were your favorite?
I would have to say that so far, Xemnas is the absolute favorite of the ones that I've faced so far, although let's just say that I expect he's going to be dethroned very soon, just because, well, he's probably my favorite antagonist in the series. Hearing a remix of his theme from Dream Drop Distance was an absolute auditory delight, as is Paul St. Peter voicing him, as he always does. And just the sheer level of, all of the throwbacks to all of the love and, I had fighting him throughout the other games. And it was definitely the toughest one, although I think that might have been partially because I was still getting used to how these fights worked, so I was still, bulking up stat-wise. Finally getting off my butt on the Frozen Slider and getting Ultima weapon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Stuff. Although his DM is still pretty damn brutal.
Yeah, but it's like, I think for me, it's definitely Xemnas and Marluxia, just because, again, they take, these, many of the familiar moves with and put such a unique spin on them, especially with, Xemnas, with how he uses his, wall attacks. What is really cool, too, is, he'll knock you into that wall, and you start going flying, and then he comes in and he slams you again. It's it shows, just the amount of creativity these boss fights have.
Yeah, and so it's just, and then you figure out later, I can break those before he does that move. So it's just hey, you get back here. You're not setting up your trick on me.
Leaving. Oh, that's another part I really enjoyed. And every time he just goes, leaving. I'm no, I want to kill you.
Let's see, other ones I really, really liked. I think I might have liked Young Xehanort's fight surely for the music alone, and I like how there's a slightly different instrumentation than I would have expected based on previous Kingdom Hearts games, because again, they have more stuff than, to quote Just a Pancake, Yoko Shimomura with 13 instruments in a broom closet.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I like that fight too, especially with the music, because when he goes into that time thing and you hear the music muffle, that was such a really good detail.
Yeah, it really was. Let's see. I think another one I really liked was Syx's fight, just because of how of the intense feeling you just had basically throughout the entire thing. Of how you're basically trying to chain an unchained wolf, which is basically what you're normally doing with Syx anyway, so you got that down right.
Yeah, he was definitely brutal. And I definitely I have beaten all of them, and I definitely enjoyed the last two. Although there is kind of one mechanic I found kind of weird. I don't know if you would mind the spoiler or not.
I'm thinking that I'm gonna need all the help I can get, and let's just say that if it's infamous enough, I probably accidentally heard somebody complaining about it on Twitter already.
Okay, yeah, if you're okay with that. So, basically, there's certain moves the characters do, and the secret boss does this too, which I haven't beaten yet, and obviously you haven't gotten to that yet, so I think maybe in another video we'll talk about the secret boss if we could ever actually beat him.
Yeah, although let's just say that I think my patience... once again, I have a platinum trophy in Bloodborne that requires beating the game 3 times, and the DLC for Bloodborne was pretty brutal, which is basically how I went, well, it can't be any worse than that, can it? Was basically my approach going into this.
Yeah, no, I got you. You're very qualified then with that Bloodborne achievement. But, yeah, so in these other 2 boss fights, there's a thing where with certain attacks, they start... How do I explain it? It's, so you have your main health bar, so they actually start chipping away at, the main health bar, so if you recover, it only goes so far up, so...
Oh, max HP reduction, yeah.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for, thank you. Yeah, and I thought, those 2 boss fights are really... Well, the Master Xehanort one isn't as bad, but, the one you're looking forward to, unless you're really moving, you really gotta pay attention, because at that, I was just kind of I still liked it, but I'm kind of I think that might have been a bit too much, but still, it was still a good fight.
I will endure it. I died 160 times to the final boss in Bloodborne's DLC. I will endure it.
Okay, then.
Yes, I counted. Mainly because of how I happen to take on hard fights like this. And my rule is never attempt them more than 5 times in a row for the sake of your sanity.
Yeah, wow. Gonna keep a whole list on that.
Yes,
it's for the memories.
Means that I unintentionally end up counting how many attempts I have against a boss.
Yeah, I don't do that just because it makes me feel depressed.
I guess I'm just kind of used to it at this point.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
One of these days, I might end up doing this all uncritical and being a true epic game over. Right now, I mostly just want to inject Rewind Street into my veins first. Okay, thanks, bye.
yeah, same here. Was there any boss you liked the least, or because I thought all of them were fine. Maybe Larxene was kind of just done and done.
I mean, I basically absolutely destroyed Larxene, so I don't have much of an opinion. And I'm thinking that the only one that it's just I might have had liked less than the others because they're all still pretty good probably is Vanitas's, but then again, I have a massive bias of him being my least favorite boss in the series because Birth by Sleep somehow made him a worse recurring boss than Replica. It's just your music is awesome, but you saying too slow is setting off fight or flight responses in me, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Dang, boy, I know you have a sad backstory in the Birth by Sleep manga or something, but I'm sorry. Get out of my face, edgelord.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about your problems. Oh, boo-hoo, I'm darkness. But, yeah, I guess, the other thing we should talk about, too, because they were, even though you can still, play them in the main game and without the DLC, the new forms are really good. The new Keyblades.
Ooh, yes! Oathkeeper is just an absolute delight. And Double Form, of course, although, since I've not actually beaten the game on Critical, I can't say anything about Oblivion.
Yeah, I know, same here. It's that was a good thing, too, because I thought you had to get both of them to unlock Double Form, but no, you can just have one or the other to do it. I'm like, okay,
and they both have their own version of Double Form, which is a nice twist.
Oh, okay, actually, I didn't know that, so I'm really gonna have...
I kind of heard that one through the grapevine.
Right, I gotcha. But no, they were really good additions. They're some of my favorites, just especially with Double Form, just about the crazy combos you can do with it.
And of course, the callbacks to enjoying having your 2 Keyblades like in Kingdom Hearts 2. I mean, that was basically my favorite game in the series up until now, of which I have to say that with the addition of Remind, Kingdom Hearts 3 has finally dethroned that spot.
Yeah, I think so too. I definitely think all the new elements just really helped push it.
What I really thought about fighting all these data battles is that this just kinda, mechanically and otherwise, this just kinda feels like a capstone to the entirety of the Dark Seekers saga and just the arcs in general.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely think so. Yeah, it was just the topper, But, what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and also they did, add some, the premium menus, which I did go back to check, and they're pretty neat. I don't know if you did.
I don't think I've had a look at those quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, the premium one is cool for, if you want to challenge yourself, and I looked at the easy mode, and it definitely, it kind of took me back to, an era where you could have, cheat codes and stuff in your games. It's going messing around with your Game Shark and messing with the games in fun ways. It was nice.
Mm-hmm. Just one of those, hey, if you get bored with the standard settings here, go make your own fun. And speaking of making your own fun, data greeting.
Oh, I haven't really had the chance to dive into it yet, but I've seen other people do it, and it definitely looks like a blast, and that's something that could be a fun little, time waster if you just want to share stuff with your friends and all that.
The only significant thing I've made in data greetings so far is a showdown between basically my favorite characters of the series in the Square of Radiant Garden with way too damn many magic effects.
No, that sounds really cool. That sounds like just a fun way to sort of just share your love for the series with friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
because
it's just like the memes that have come up on Twitter are just worth the price of admission. It's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. Especially, there's one I saw where, like, I think it was, like, all the Xehanorts surrounding Naminé. I'm like, uh-oh.
Or even just recreating past moments from the series in glorious HD.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out.
It's just like, this was probably either the you've given the fans too much power, or we know exactly what you're doing with this.
Yeah, I know, because it definitely seems like they were trying to do much they can just to please us. But you'll always still get those negative voices out there, you know. But I thought it was definitely a lot of fun with everything they've added.
Oh yes, it's just, yeah, it really just fleshes and fills stuff out more. Not that I wasn't unhappy with the base game, but this just kind of like, it expands upon it and makes it all even better and tastier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was definitely worth adding. Yes.
And definitely worth the price of admission.
Yeah, I guess that's something people were complaining about too. It's like $30. I'm like, again, you had no idea what we had to deal with back in the day with the Final Mix stuff. And even in like Japan, like they would get the base game and then they're like, oh, I have to pay, you know, the full retail price again just so I could get some extra content.
And I'm presuming that your save progress wouldn't necessarily carry over either, so you basically have to play the game all over again.
Yeah, exactly. You had to.
It's just like, it was inconvenient for everybody, but it was the best they had, whereas the modern DLC model actually does what Final Mix was trying to do so much better, but because you have more people who don't necessarily remember the days of getting Kingdom Hearts 2 for Christmas in 2007...
Yeah, absolutely. But it's definitely worth checking out, especially because there's a lot of great content. And, like, I mean, with the Remind stuff, like, you'll enjoy it, and maybe you'll want to go back just to face the bosses again. But I feel like it's the data battles where you're going to be spending the most of your time.
Even if you don't necessarily plan on spending most of your time there.
Yeah, but it's just, like, because, like, obviously you'll get more into, like, training and getting better at facing the bosses and all that stuff. And, I mean, already there's some people on YouTube who have, like, already doing some really crazy stuff and just being the bosses without getting hit and stuff like that. So it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you really want a nice challenge.
That challenge in the live your own epic anime fight way that Kingdom Hearts has always been the best at delivering on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You want to be an anime character, huh? Well, this is the place to start. But I guess before we wrap up, I guess talk a bit about the future, because Kingdom Hearts Dark Road was just announced.
Oh yes, that one was definitely a big surprise out of nowhere. Like, hang on, you're making another mobile game about young Xehanort? You actually have a name that sounds like a normal name for once, instead of something that, to quote the honest game trailers for Kingdom Hearts, sounds like it came out of a random word generator?
Yeah, it's not called, like, Kingdom Hearts .7, the beginning after, or some crazy shit?
No, it's just called Dark Road.
I know, that's...
Muro somehow manages to make that complicated.
Yeah. I guess I was surprised, too, just because, like, oh, it's the end of the Dark Seeker saga. I didn't think there was anything, like, left. Well, I mean, while I still enjoyed the DLC, I mean, there were some minor things that were still not, like, addressed, like, especially sort of Xehanort's motivations being kind of skewed, but maybe that'll be addressed in Dark Road.
Yeah, I guess it's just like, well, hey, I still wanted the story to tell, but I'm not necessarily going to be able to get, like, you know, a full-length, shiny game on the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 or something, so let's use a different format, and, like, yeah, I'm very biased because I don't really mind Union Cross as much as some other people do, but I'm looking forward to this. It should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to assume, based on the rest of the series, it's going to be some sort of RPG of some type. I don't know, maybe it'll be something else.
But hey, we'll be getting it relatively soon. It said spring of 2020.
Yeah, and they are, I think sometime in February they're going to be talking about, like, revealing more stuff about it. Maybe we could do another video on that.
Oh yeah, that would definitely be great. And I think we'll probably have more to say about this topic once we actually manage to get past the secret boss, because while I don't know all of the details, I've heard that there is some pretty, your classic, wanting to scream, Nomura! Up at the sky stuff in there.
Oh yeah, just like, what? Why? What does it mean?
As if he's not doing that enough with the various story updates to Union Cross in the Japanese version lately, where something that was like a minor Easter egg in Kingdom Hearts 1 that was easily missable.
I know, yeah, I saw that.
Relevant again. It's just like, this man, it's just like,
yeah,
I'm on this wild ride and I'm never getting off.
Yeah, I think that's what the appeal, because other people are like, oh, the story sucks, I don't want to be a part of it. Like, I think that's the charm of it at this point, where it's like, it really does go off the walls, and it pretty much goes in any direction. That's the thing. It's so unpredictable. Something you can't...
And there's just, like, a certain fun getting lost in that kind of madness and turning into... low-key turning into a conspiracy theorist, because now anything can mean... and any little thing that seemed innocuous sometime in the past can have something mean something significant.
Yeah, I know, like that, like the little rock in the corner. Oh no, it had a significance. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, this character happened to have a clothing change that you would generally expect from like a marketing standpoint. Oh, guess what? That's actually relevant to the plot for some reason.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so, are there any final thoughts you have?
I suppose there's one thing, and that is that most of the reviewers who are reviewing this from, like, more official outlets don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah, you wanted to mention this, because you were telling me all about it. I'm like, okay, if you want to talk about the video, that's fine. You're like, yep, I do.
I ran out of steam for really talking about that. I just wanted to bring that up once.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. No, yeah, I gotcha. It's like, yeah, you know, everyone's allowed to have their own opinions, but it's like... at least I feel like have some sort of understanding about what you're talking about in the end.
Mm-hmm. It's just like, I'm just asking for a basic level of competency here, folks. I'm not asking you to be a fanboy.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like, it's always, like, good to get different perspectives, even if you're not, like, a hardcore fan. Because sometimes they can bring something new to it. But again, I feel like at the end you still have to have sort of a basic understanding of not just, like, the story, but the gameplay as well.
Yeah, and understanding that, yeah, this is a DLC. This is something that's probably more specifically geared to people that, well, are probably going to be more heavily invested in the game and want to spend more time with it.
Yeah,
so you have to sort of keep in mind that that's the target audience for something like this.
But yeah, if you're definitely looking for... I feel like the content definitely helped propel Kingdom Hearts 3. It's probably my favorite game now, just because it did so... just that DLC alone really just helped propel it, in my opinion. I definitely recommend checking it out.
Oh yeah, it's definitely awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you for joining me. I'm glad you could come on.
Oh yeah, it's definitely cool to be able to do something like this, and hopefully we'll be able to do this more, because yeah, we're on Nomura's wild ride for life.
We are. I wasn't sure at first. I'm like, I don't know, maybe after this I'll get off, and I'm like, no, I can't. I need to see how insane this gets.
Yeah, but at this point, it's just like, it's a glorious level of, like, I don't know, the same kind of thing that you would have just seeing a train wreck happen, but in the best possible way.
Exactly.
Like,
I can't look away. I can't look away.
I want to see where this crazy ride is going.
Yeah, it's like, I can't look away. I can't look away. But
it's
yeah,
like, it's a mess, but it's my mess that I'm emotionally fond of. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just like, let me have it, guys, okay?
Let me have my anime nonsense.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Where can people find you online? What's the best place to reach you at?
Probably my Twitter and my Tumblr, which on Twitter I am at Zorial Diamond, and on Tumblr I am Zorial Diamond-blog. I have a Deviantart, but I basically never post there these days, so it's not really a good place to find me anymore.
Yeah, I got you. Definitely go and check her out, because she does some awesome artwork. Big fan of RuneScape, and of course Kingdom Hearts. So yeah, definitely go check her out. But, yeah, as always, thank you for joining me for this video. Thank you again, Zorial Diamond, for joining me. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And if you want to see more from me, click on the subscribe button at the end of this video. Well, we will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye!